Hi, everybody. This is Angel Arts, and welcome back to yet another episode of Let's Get to Know the Candidates of the upcoming Dragon Age Season 2 campaign. I am here with Rachel today. Say hi, Rachel.
Hello.
And we're going to spend some time to get to know Rachel a little bit more and kind of get into her head a little bit, find out how she ticks, and see, get a sneaky peek at what she might be like as a possible player. So we're going to dive in and start with the out of character questions first. So, Rachel, my first question for you is what is it about the Dragon Age universe that interests you?
Um, Actually, pretty much all of it. One of the things I really liked about this particular universe, I've been, as I mentioned, I've been playing role-playing games in various and sundry forms for very many years. So I'm very used to, typical fantasy settings where, the elves are high and beautiful and magical, and where the dwarves are just about the gold. And the thing I love the most about this setting is that it takes all of that and it turns it upside down. So I was fascinated by the fact that, say, the elves are just now coming out of an age of oppression, and that the dwarves are not just, where's me kilt and me gold? It's deep in its intricate political maneuverings.
Yeah.
And in amongst all this setting, oh yeah, the world is maybe sort of kind of ending. Can you stop it? Um, so yeah, there's nothing about this setting that I don't like.
Question number two. What is it about tabletop gaming or role playing that interests you?
Um, I've been doing that a lot too for, again, more than 20 years. I was raised by a writer, which then it's no surprise that I became one. So I'm all about stories. And the thing that I really love about, being able to be around a table or be on like Roll20 or something is that it's not just, reading a book. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm love my books, but in a role playing setting, not only are you the hero, but that person's a hero, that person's a hero, that person's a hero. You're all heroes and you're all helping to tell each other's awesome story. Um, that's really the thing that gets me. I love the character development of every individual character, and then I love to see how all of these other stories can come together to make an amazing overarching tale.
Okay, great, great answer. Question number three. Why do you believe that you would be a good person for others to play with?
Well, for that, I mean, I'm easygoing. I'd like to think I'm relatively funny, maybe a laugh or two. Um, I'm just, I'm a nice person. I'm because I'm all about that story. Like I was just saying, I don't need the spotlight. I think that the best stories, I have a little bit of the spotlight, the next player does, the next player does, and I'm very willing to step back to not only let the other person shine, but then to see if maybe I can bounce off somebody else and maybe we have a past we didn't know about together or something like that. So I think that between good attitude and willingness to, work and play with each other, I think that makes it a pretty good thing.
Character connections in your backstories. Why, whatever do you mean? That doesn't
I
happen.
could not guess.
I didn't think that happened. Well,
Ah.
okay. Okay. So then, my next question to follow up is number four. What is your
Mhm.
biggest weakness as a player, would you say? And how do you plan on overcoming or improving that weakness?
Um, I am actually a very, very introverted and analytical person. So for me, for many years, I was just the quiet healer and let me help you. And um, it's difficult for me to play somebody who is particularly outgoing, and like it's always been kind of difficult for me to be like a face of the group or somebody who is, you know, more prone to passionate outbursts, or well, more prone to passion in general.
Mhm.
Working on this is easy because that's what Haliserre can be. um, my character is passionate. So sure, she'll have her quiet times, but this is also a good exercise for me to, get beyond that. I really need to be quiet and think about this for a long time kind of thing.
Yeah, I like that you did that. I like that through your character, you're hoping to improve yourself as a player because of the character's
Yeah,
personality. I love that you designed her that way. That's very
thank you.
smart. Very smart.
Thanks.
Okay, so my last question hopefully is a fun one for you. Pick any event or situation that took place in the Dragon Age Season 1, and how would your character have handled that situation differently or similarly?
That was really, really difficult for me to think about. Like the one I kept catching on was when the group was trying to figure out what to do with Connor. Are they going to try to free him, or are they going to kill him?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I kind of felt a little disappointed in my own answer on that because I think Haliserre would have definitely been more with Maximilian, just like the no, this there are lines and this is something you do not cross.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of seemed like a little bit of a cop out answer though, so I wanted to think more on other scenes. Um, the other one that jumped out at me, I remember during your epilogue, and by the way, I love how you did that epilogue.
Thank
That was
you.
cool. Uh, so during that epilogue, actually a couple of seconds before it technically went into the epilogue, um, Nathan, his
Ah,
spirit had a heartfelt talk with Gwenaël, and at the end, he decided to, accept Gwenaël into, not accept Gwenaël, accept Nathan into himself. Um, Haliserre would never have done that, ever, ever, ever. Not because, not because of any feelings she would have felt if she had had that kind of relationship with Nathan, but more, no, you are your own spirit. I am my own spirit. To bring us together would not be right.
gotcha.
So, yeah, she has her own strange borders, her own lines, and taking that kind of person and becoming something else other than what you really are, that's weird to her. She wouldn't do that.
Well, then that's the last of the out of character questions. So now we're gonna move on to some role playing. So let's have
Yay.
some fun. So let's get to meet Haliserre. We've met Rachel. So let's get to meet Haliserre a bit. Rachel decided to select Plim to be the person to interview Haliserre because why not? Because Plim is also very passionate. Um, and so I think that they actually would get along pretty well. And especially since he himself is best friends with another fellow warrior, well, now the Lord Viscount of Kirkwall. So I think what we're trying to do is, um, as you said, the thing about the world of Thetis is that there's always something that threatens the balance. The world, I swear, like is in danger of ending like every several years or so. So we're just gonna come up with a hypothetical situation where the Lord of Sunworth Viscount himself is trying to build up an army to protect the people of Kirkwall from the whatever the big bad is going to be. You are going to be interviewed by Plim because several people thought that you were spoken very highly of to maybe become a knight captain or somebody that can help train these troops because of how influential you are and how inspirational you are. You will be escorted into the Viscount's estate. They will take you to one of the offices next to Lady Aveline. Aveline is the captain of the guard, which is different from the knight captain of more of the military force that this Viscount is trying to set up. And this office, you will see Plim. He is poring over a bunch of parchments, some documents on this desk. The chair that he's sitting on is obviously way too small for him, his big, giant, large body that he has. And when you enter into the room, he looks up and he gives you as charming of a werewolf smile as a werewolf can give you.
I'm fairly certain, because you'd mentioned that when he was announced to his new position, that it made quite a stir. So I'm sure she's heard rumors.
Yes. You will probably hear rumors that he's not exactly what you expect.
Right. I would think when she walks in, she maybe didn't quite expect a werewolf.
Okay.
She kind of looks taken aback for one moment. So that's what they meant.
Oh, he says, let me guess. They didn't prepare you, did you? Did they?
Not enough.
My apologies, my apologies. He says, a lot of the guardsmen, they like to do that with the new people that are new around these parts. All right, yes. Here am I. A little worse for wear, but yes, I am Plim Cornstead. You could just call me Plim. It makes it easier.
Very well.
And you must be Miss Haliserre, I presume?
Yes. At your service.
Pleased to meet you, he says as he holds out a very large clawed hand.
She'll take it. No hesitation.
All right? Gives you a firm handshake.
Very firm handshake.
Says, wow, he says, I'm pretty impressed. Quite a firm handshake you have there, my lady.
Thank you. You too.
Please, have a seat, and let's get this interview started.
She does have a seat. Her palm is still a little prickly from his claws, but she's not going to check and see if it punctured or anything. It's just, we're good.
He says, so, like I said, let me start by welcoming you to Kirkwall. Have you been here before?
Not for any length of time. I passed through very briefly. It's been several years. I haven't counted.
I see. Where do you hail from, then?
Originally, I have come from Ferelden. I've been touring for quite a while.
I see. Your family's from Ferelden, and he suddenly has a very serious look on his face. My condolences about your home.
My thanks.
If you don't mind me asking, is your family all right?
My family, sir, is everywhere. Therefore, yes and no. Mostly... Where is the wine?
Now you're speaking my language. Plim will get up and he will, open the door and he'll whisper to one of the, I guess, a servant or something and ask if they could bring a bottle of something. He'll ask you red or white. What is your pleasure?
Red.
He'll ask them for a fine red wine from Antiva. And they actually make for rather good wines there. He'll bring a bottle, and he will very carefully, with his hands, very carefully, like probably with his 2 fingers, pour you a glass, and he'll pour himself one as well. Anything to loosen the nerves, he says as he holds it to chink. And by chinking, I mean he just holds it up, and you can chink on it.
Don't worry, it's clinkies. No, yeah, she'll just clink, drink.
It's quite good. It is a quite a good quality of wine. Then he will ask, he will say, "So you refer to yourself as a Warchanter? Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct, sir.
How does one become a Warchanter? I'm just curious."
One follows one's own path, sir. Uh, you must understand. I grew up in the Chantry, sir. I love everything about it, but I do not see myself as the one to stay within the walls and read the books. And I do not agree that there should be vows against magics, sir. The Templar's calling was not for me. It seems inappropriate. So I've forged my own path. I studied the works, I studied the chants. I took what vows I could. And then I left. And then I trained. I am still a priest. But I follow her words and her actions. I do not follow no walls.
Huh.
I do not follow those who stay behind and read.
At this point, while you're telling your story, Plim has leaned back on his chair a little bit. The chair kind of creaks a little bit. Maybe you hear a little bit of a crack or two. And he's sort of rubbing his hairy chin, and he smiles a little bit as he's listening to your tale. And then when you finish, he sits up and leans back in again and says, "So, in other words, the cloistered life is not for you. You like to be a doer. You're a doer."
Yes.
I like that. Ha ha ha! He slaps the table, and there's a loud thud when he does that, and he says, "Oh, my apologies."
She's already grinning, full grin. She doesn't.
Says, "There's a fire in you, Missy, and I like it. You're just the kind of person that I think Waxy Matt." He stops himself. Lord Sunworth. He stops for a moment. Lord Sunworth would appreciate it. This is completely.
Very well.
He says, "Let's just forget, what happened just a few seconds ago." Anyway, he says as he comes back. So my next question then is, what is your experience then leading a troop of soldiers?
None whatsoever.
Okay. So why do you think you would then be a good candidate for this position then?
Are you a religious sort, sir?
I have to admit, I don't go to the Chantry often, but I am a believer of the Maker, if that's what you're asking. Yes. Although, now that I'm talking to you, maybe I should go back to the Chantry a few times, he says as he rubs the back of his neck. You have a feeling that, for a werewolf, Plim's a little semi-intimidated by you, or at the very least, respectful. At minimum, respectable, but you can feel a twinge of intimidation.
That's fine.
Which, for those of you who know Plim as a character, it's been a long time since a woman has intimidated him.
I win.
But go ahead.
When was the last time you spoke to Andraste or to the Maker?
He sits back a bit and says, "For a reasonable length of time, honestly, around the end of the Blight. Around the end of the Blight."
For many, the same. To answer your question, may I say a few words?
"Please do," he says. "Just keep your weapon sheathed for me, please." if you don't
She
mind.
actually looks a little disappointed at that. well, since she was not allowed to unsheath her weapon, she will still stand as whenever you ask for a blessing in the actual games, there's always the gentry person who is maker. She stands, and instead of here's my blessing, you can tell very well she's used to doing this with sword and shield. Since she doesn't have that, she just beats against her own chest. So she stands up and she gets this determined look in her eye, and she says, "Maker, my enemies are abundant. Many are those who rise up against me, but my face sustains me. I shall not fear the legion should they set themselves against me. Maker, though the darkness comes upon me, I shall embrace the light. I shall weather the storm. I shall endure. Maker, what you have created, no one can tear asunder."
And when at the end of that, Plim goes, "Can I hear an amen?" He says as he lifts up his hands. "I think I've just seen the light," he says as he looks around. "Well, I can see that you can make a believer out of anyone, including the likes of me. And if that doesn't count for something when it comes to leadership, I don't know what is."
Hair.
I think you definitely...
She asks, like, she extends her goblet, like, more wine, please.
He'll pour you a glass. "All right," he says.
Down.
I think I have one more question then.
Sir.
I'm assuming that you have had to take someone's life before, I'm assuming. Yes?
Yes.
What would you say was the most difficult instances that you had to take someone's life? The most challenging of instances?
Every death, every life that you take has meaning. Each soul, when it passes from a body to the Maker's side or to the void, has meaning. You are tied to everyone that you are fighting. The most important of these was a man whose name I do not know. He was wounded on the battlefield. I have seen knights, I have seen warriors who congratulate themselves for mercy killings. This was not something to be congratulated. He was a soldier. He fought well. He was left to die. It was a kindness, but it was not something to be celebrated. It was important. Even in that last moment, it's that connection. I went on to find the man's family. That was easier than taking that last breath. He deserved better honor than that. People of YouTube, I am Haliserre. I am the one who sings for Andraste. My thoughts, my actions, only I can own. I challenge you to ask yourselves why. Everything we do, we should do with passion and with honor. Always keeping in mind why you are doing these things. Challenge yourselves. Challenge everyone around you. Think. Feel. It is me who should be on this quest. Me, Haliserre, the singer of Andraste.